Hello everyone. Those two are my W209 Mercedes 350 and 500. We just recently did the engine swap for this one, for 500, and it's almost done. Probably I'll be able to squeeze one more video about this car. I know I need to replace the bushings for the upper control arms in the front. Typically I do purchase the whole control arm for the cars, but I found that FCP Euro is offering just the bushings for the control arms, and we'll see if I'll be able to press out the old worn bushing with my press and put a new one back in. So that's the game plan about this Mercedes. So in regards to the one on the top, the 350, the other day I was driving it and I noticed the humming noise coming from the back, and I raised the car, I put it on the drive and spin the wheels, and looks like the problem that I do have is coming from the rear differential. And I purchased one from LKQ online. They shipped it to me. However, it came with the holes for the axles without any plugs, so there is a much dirt, debris, sand inside the differential they sent to me. It's very not good for the differential health, so I'll try to let me put it that way, before I return this item back to LKQ for replacement or refund, I'll try to clean it out first to see if I'll be successful, and if yes, we're gonna attempt to replace the differential. It's somewhat cumbersome process for 209. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like a bolts holding the CV axles attached to the differential like some of the models do, where I can simply undo the bolts and differential is pretty much disconnected from the CV axles. In W209, the differential axle is actually go inside the differential, which means before the differential can be removed, the axle needs to be pushed out from the differential. So that's the story. Let me move this car out from the garage. This is our differential. Axles coming in from the both sides, and I think the possible game plan to remove this one would be releasing the knuckle on this side, probably by disconnecting two upper control arms and the sway bar link, and maybe even this lower, torque arm, whatever it calls, so we can fold kind of spindle towards the bottom. It possibly may give enough space to remove the axle from here. If it won't be enough, I'm gonna need to disconnect the lower control arm as well. I don't want to do that because it's spring loaded by this suspension spring, so it's probably the last resort I'm gonna work on. But if everything's gonna be successful, we're gonna remove the axle from the differential, put it somewhere on the side, and then we're gonna slide the differential away from this axle to avoid the suspension work on the driver's side. Of course, we're gonna need to remove, disconnect the shaft from the differential in the front, and then I guess that's everything that I do see right now. Probably I'm gonna need to remove the sway bar as well, because it may be slightly on the way, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Who forgot to put the car on neutral? It was me. Let me put it on neutral. Now let's try to undo the bolts holding this rubber flange to the drive shaft, because we need to separate the drive shaft and now it's going to be the fun part, to separate the drive shaft and differential. They're always like sticky together. 2 out of 3 are separated. All right, they are officially separated. I disconnected the lower control arm from the spindle, and actually I was able to fish the axle out from the differential. However, it looks like I won't have enough space to wiggle the differential if the axle is here. So at that point, I think I'm gonna need to remove the axle completely, and only then I'll be able to, move the differential away from here. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very fun to put it back together. Axle is out. When I will remove 3 bolts, I'll be able to move the differential, slightly back and forth. But we are not out of the woods yet, because there is still some clearance issue right here, where the drive shaft is connected to was connected to the differential. I wish I could say that the removal was very, easy, but it wasn't. I was able to, stick to my original plan and to shift the differential towards the passenger side to release it from the driver's side CV axle. But I realized it's gonna be next to impossible to install the replacement differential in the same way. So what I did, I removed the CV axle, from this side, because I had the space since the differential was out. But I'm gonna disassemble the suspension on the driver's side as well later on, once I'll be putting the CV axle. So my game plan is to attach the differential to the brain fart to the drive shaft. Then it's gonna go back there, and hopefully it's gonna align with the holes, and then I'll be installing the shafts back in the differential once it's in place. I think it should be easier than to try to align the shaft from one side, and it's gonna be nightmare. Also, another note, there's nearly no space here to undo the bolt holding the differential. It was quite tricky, so what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna remove this shield, the plastic shield, to see if it's gonna give me maybe half an inch additional clearance or so when I'm gonna be installing the differential, because it was real pain to get to this bolt. On some Mercedes models, maybe C-Class or E-Class, there is the hole actually that goes into the tab where the spare tire is, so this bolt is accessible from the trunk through the hole. But I guess it's not the case with the CLK, and that what makes it slightly more difficult. Probably if this what is it, like 12 millimeter Allen, if this 12 millimeter Allen socket would be smaller size, it would be much easier, but the socket along with the ratchet together, that's not a good combination for this bolt, at least the socket of the size that I do have. So that's that. I'm gonna clean the replacement differential. So that's the original one, still on the stand. The replacement is one right here in the box. It's got gunk, debris, whatever inside, because it wasn't stored properly by LKQ for some reason. I don't know why. It only takes couple plugs to put in the CV axle holes to store it. Hopefully I'll be able to clean it properly, because I definitely do not want to do this job again. It's not fun. Also, what's not fun is to remove those plastic shields from the bottom of the car. Those are the shields, and the reason for that is those arms from the lift are actually covering or snapping those shields in place. So I can undo all the bolts, but the shield does not come off. But the shield is not coming off because it's pinched between the lift arm and this rail, all four corners. So what I did, I used those stands. I raised the car slightly by jacking the rear subframe, which is very much not advisable, because the balance for the lift is totally goes out of whack. So the lift got only the force, brain fart again. So because the lift is not supporting the rear anymore, all the weight is going to the front arms, which makes the lift unstable. So it's very dangerous and it's not advisable. But I didn't get many options to do. So that's that. I'm gonna clean the differential and we'll try to install it back on. All right. let's take a better look. You can see like a lot of kind of sand particles on the gears. So that's very bad, and I'll see if we'll be able to clean them out. Yeah, the particles right in there as well. Even the like a, I don't know, grass or big chunks of something. Not good. But what we can do, let's spray some more. Let's spray some more spray. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, everywhere's the mess. I am more worried about those like needle bearings on the sides. So guys, did you ever see differential as clean as this one? Unfortunately, I cannot be sure if there is no damage done to the components already, but there is no much else we can do. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the scraper, and it's a scraper with a, I guess, carbide tip, and I'm gonna gently scrape the surface from the old you know, sealant gasket material. I'm gonna do the same with the cover, and I'm gonna use some compressed air to remove, you know, whatever I could just introduce inside from the gasket material, and we'll snap them together. I'm using Permatex gear oil gasket maker. It's for pretty much for differential covers and all that stuff. I'm gonna be applying it onto the cover because it's, I can position it like on the table flat, so this should make it slightly easier. And then the manufacturer recommends immediately put the cover on the differential and hand tighten the bolts and wait 1 hour, and then tighten the bolts to the, you know, torque specs. Same thing I did for Ford F-150 oil pan. So let's try to squeeze it. It's fairly cold today, and it's not as liquid as I would like it to be. You know, I'm gonna cut one more, you know, step here to make it more thick. Looks good everywhere. I'm gonna prepare the bolt, or two actually. So I can okay, I hand tighten all of them, and I see the silicone started to spread around. I'm gonna give it 1 hour and then I'm gonna tighten it. Meanwhile, I'm gonna put a thread locker on the drain bolt thing, and I'm gonna put it back in the hole. Alright, it's about an hour passed from the time we put those bolts in place. Let's tighten them now. Okay, I think we should be fine in the torque department. Per the instructions, I should wait 24 hours at least before I put any oil in the differential, but meanwhile we can try to put it back in place at least, and let's check out if it's gonna work out for us or not. Probably there is it's gonna be the good idea to connect the differential and the drive shaft first. And we need to make the angle similar, hopefully. The angle is slightly too steep. Okay, stay in place. All right, let me find the bolts This couple. At least right now it won't fall off on my head. And we're gonna try to finagle it in place. I'm gonna need this combination of the bushing and washer. It goes on the front mounting for the differential. Two. Alright. Looks like it's almost in place actually. Let me find the bolts that were holding the differential in place. It may take a few moments. Okay, looks like this is the one, the front one. I would like to attempt to install it first. Right on the money. And now it's gonna be the part where I'm gonna need to precisely align slightly higher. Okay, one of them in. It looks like the second one is in too. I removed the plastic, shield for the spare tire top, and there is still not enough space for me to turn the there is still not enough space for me to put the ratchet, so I'm using the pliers to rotate the socket. it's possible, since the bolt is deeper now, I'll be able to insert the ratchet. Yep, just barely. Click. Okay, only last bolt left to tighten. All right, I will need the wrench to hold it there. In order to secure this bolt, I used the offset wrench that I put inside this hole to find the, to find the bolt on the other side. And looks like it worked out for me. 17mm wrench. I was able to snug this bolt. So right now I also need to snug those guys, 3 bolts holding the drive shaft to the differential. Those 2 bolts that holds the differential I secured with a ratchet with a 12mm hex socket on it. And right now I'm gonna start to put everything back together. Hopefully I'm not doing it just for nothing. Hopefully this differential gonna work for some time. Probably it's gonna be a good idea to drain the oil in a little bit after it's gonna work out. Drain it again, put new oil, and then probably it could last for some time. A 10mm wrench and T60 Torx socket should do the trick. I'm gonna try to tighten them evenly in a few sessions. Come on. One, two, and 3. Good. Now I need to put back together the bearing, the support bearing for the drive shaft, because I removed it. At this point, I think that we are ready to install the plastic tab. There is one more nut, but I need the longer extension there. Right. Okay, tab is installed. At this point, I think it's safe to install the axle from the right side into the differential. Here's the dilemma. I do have brand new seals for the left and right axles. I'm not sure if I would like to waste them here, because I'm not sure if the differential is good or not. So that's something. Looks like the rubber is still, flexible on the seal, which is good. So probably I'll take my chance and won't install it. I simply gonna install the shaft, and we're gonna attempt to assemble the right side, of the suspension. Game plan like that.